Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Out of Bounds. Today we're going to talk about superstitions. Let's roll that intro, shall we? Welcome back to Out of Bounds. My name's Dan. One of these days I'll get it right. I promise. One of these days I'll get it right. Today we're going to be talking about superstitions and how it affects, honestly, everybody, especially athletes. I was about to directly translate something from Spanish, especially high-level athletes, because I feel that it's something that we deal with every single day. By the way, I feel like I sound so echoey. Am I very echoey? Let me fix this. Just a sec. Let me just pull this a little bit closer to me. And hopefully that will help. Ooh, I feel like that helped. I could be wrong. That's okay. Anyways, superstitions. When I was growing up, I think a lot of it had to do with obvious, cultural things that I saw growing up, things that I experienced other people do when I was growing up, and I feel like that it definitely had an impact on me and the way that I went about doing certain things. Like one of the main things, I don't know if it's a Hispanic thing at all, I don't know what it is, but I would always, every single time, especially if I was ever getting on an airplane or walking into a competition arena, even walking onto the mat of the event that I was about to compete on, I would always have to step with my right foot first. I don't know why. I would just remember that was you got to do that. You got to start with your right leg. I don't know what it was. But I do remember that was one of the biggest things that I would have to do. And it was it was so ingrained in my head that literally every time that I would walk into anywhere, I would right foot. And even after gymnastics, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because when I was training and I had all these things, yeah, sure, whatever, I'm so focused on what I have to do that, I'm overly worried about making sure that everything is exactly how I need it to be. But even afterward, when I really didn't need it, oh man, I remember there were certain things that I would have to do. For a long time, there was this thing that I had to do with the chalk bucket, where I needed to, get ready to go up, specifically on high bar. So on high bar, I would always have to place the chalk bucket exactly where, let me see. So on high bar, if you're looking at it, and I would have, I would envision myself doing the routine and dismounting, going this way. The chalk bucket always had to be on this side right here, right next to the high bar for some reason. And I would always have to go in and make sure that it was there. And I actually, the point that I remember that I was oh, this is a problem. I should probably fix this. It was in a World Cup in Paris, and I was getting genuinely angry at the other gymnasts because I kept moving the chalk bucket in an inconvenient spot, by the way. It was very inconvenient. God damn it. It was a very inconvenient spot for literally everybody except for me. I'm not even sure why I needed it there. I think because maybe it had something to do with the chalk, running out of my hands before I actually got up on the event or something like that. I don't even know. I all I remember is that there was this guy from Russia, and he was looking at me like I was absolutely insane, because I would grab at me, and I would do that, and literally every single turn before I go, I would grab it. I would wait until I wouldn't just snatch it while other people were grabbing chalk. I would just make sure, which is also why I was getting angry, because I felt that people were taking too long, and I was and I would have to grab it, and I would wait, and then I'd be and then I'd grab it, and I'd walk over, I'd put it there, and I'd get chalk, and then I would go. And then I would go right away. But that was the first time that I was what are you doing, sir? And so it got really bad, man, because that was one of the things that I would get so in my head. And that's kind of the issue with superstitions, right? Like, if you rely on them too much, if one little thing that, by the way, has absolutely nothing to do with your performance, if one of those little outside factors is off, your whole performance is going to be off. Which is crazy because, like, you spend so much time preparing and getting ready, and then you're allowing yourself to be thrown off by not placing something exactly where it needs to be that you literally have zero control over. Like, it was so stupid. You know what I mean? And there was like so many things that I would do, like there's a certain point where my finger, this finger here, I'm pretty sure I had torn like the ligament on my finger. I was doing a move on P-bars, and I landed like this, and I really messed up my hand. And so whenever I would have to do P-bars, I needed to put tape on my fingers, because if I didn't put tape on my fingers, then my finger felt like it was like going out and coming back in. It was very painful. So just like the way that I had to do it, which, I mean, granted, this one was a little bit more practical than the other ones, because if I didn't put it a very specific way, it would tear. Like, I would literally tear. In fact, in 2016, in a qualifying day, in prelims, obviously I was doing my routine, and in the middle of my routine, it broke. And I remember it was like on the second skill, and I still needed it for the rest of the routine. And it broke, and I saw it fall in my handstand, and I was like, "Dear Lord, help me." and I remember I actually got through the routine, but there was like one or two times where I felt my finger like a little bit, and I was like, ugh. But it was insane. Another interesting point is seeing other people's superstitions, because at a certain point, obviously, I started paying attention a lot more to my own, and being like, why are you doing this? Why is it that you're doing this? It almost becomes like an obsessive compulsive thing where, for example, Ying I'm pretty sure he definitely had OCD, even though it wasn't diagnosed, but like he would do things like if he was walking by somewhere and like his arm would bump into something, he would have to go back and bump his other arm to like feel evened out. And he would do that with like so many things. And like even now, just thinking about it, I understand that I hit this arm more. So I know him. And if it would have been him, and he would be like, and he would have it for so many things. The frustrating part was that in the beginning, when he would do like all the celebratory things that he would do that he was kind of known for, everybody was like, oh, that's cool. And it was actually genuine. It was a genuine reaction. Whereas later it literally just became a routine. Like if he was a clown, literally, like he was like a performer, and it was no longer a routine at that point. But he would still do so many things it was definitely had to do probably with OCD. And the other thing, 100% with superstition, because he would always tell me, he was like, oh no, go in with your right foot, and like do this and then, wear this one. And Jonathan Horton was somebody that I competed with quite a bit. He was my teammate for the 2012 Olympics, and he was a commentator for 2016. And I think he said that, for the finals, either on high bar or P bars, I think he mentioned something that he was like, Danell always wears blue for his event finals, which is funny because like, yeah, I would do it most of the time, but it was because of Ying. He'd be like, like wear the blue one. The blue one always works, which, by the way, not really, because in 2015, where I got silver on high bar at the World Championships, I wore red, and I murdered that routine. And I feel like there was other moments where I also, whatever, that doesn't matter. That's boring. But anyways, seeing other people's superstitions was actually really interesting as well. There was this girl at our gym. Her name is Rima. Hey, Rima, love you, miss you. Where she would do a couple different things, and even especially on vault. The vault one was definitely the most prominent. That's the one that like I feel like everybody who trained with her definitely remembers this. She would do this thing to start where, like certain people do certain things because they're trying to get more impulse. They're trying to go faster right away, right out of the gate. But she would do this thing that she would like leap into the air I don't know why. She would like step back, and then she, instead of just like stepping back and like going right away, or maybe like a little hop and like running right into it, no, she would like step back and like full on leap into the air, like one leg super bent, the other one straight out to the back, and then just, granted, she was an incredibly powerful gymnast, so maybe it did help her a lot. But that was one of the things that I remembered a lot. I always remember seeing other people always do the very specific routine with how they put on their grips or something like that. I think it's interesting where we see other high-level athletes do certain things, like with their superstitions. Like, I don't know if LeBron still does it, but remember when he would like do all that thing? There was a point where, well, I mean, my whole career, I would, whenever I would put the chalk on and stuff like that, I would wait. One of my superstitions on high bar is that I would wait. I would stand there and I'd just be looking at the clock, because here's the thing with gymnastics. You have only 30 seconds to get up on the bar or get up on the event after the judge has officially given you like the go ahead. And if you don't do it in that time, then they deduct you. And in some cases, you're not even allowed to go up, which I think is one of the dumbest rules in gymnastics. But that's another episode that we'll talk about. And so obviously I would stand there and I would be staring at the time, the whatever it was that gave me the indication that it was like good to go. And then I would wait. And then after whatever green light would come on, I would look at the judge, always present with this arm, go down, look forward, go, no, what I do? Yeah, I'd go, hold on. I would present, walk, something like that. Whatever. All I know is that I would always go and like blow out the chalk with my hands. And, when LeBron started getting like really, really big, especially when he was in Miami, people were like, oh, are you doing the LeBron thing? And I'd be like, no, I've literally been doing this entire time. Like, I've been doing this from the beginning. But it was a cool comparison, not gonna lie. But yeah, there was like high bar especially, I remember the most that there was a specific routine, and I only remember it the most because I would do it every single day in practice because I knew that was what was making me feel the most comfortable. So even in practice, I would wait. I would stand exactly where I was. I would envision there being judges right here, which honestly, it's a really good thing. Visualization is one of the most important things in sport, but I was definitely taking it to like a different extent, right? I was standing there. I would like make myself wait, make myself a little uncomfortable, and like pretend that the judge was there. And then in my head, I would like see him raise up the green flag, and I'd be like, and I walk and walk. I always did left and then right. And then I would stand there, and then I would look down, and I would wait, and then I would go up, and I would look. And then I would go, and it was always the same thing. Every event had their own little things, but man, when I tell you that all of these things started affecting my outside life, I mean it, dude. Like even the way that I would put on my pants and stuff like that, the way that I would like get up out of bed, the way that I always had to eat like very similar meals in the morning. I always had to shave my face like a very specific way. I mean, granted, I found a way because like I have kind of sensitive skin, so like I would shave every single day, and I needed to make sure that my face wasn't gonna be like. But yeah, man, where was I going with this? I had a point. Give me a sec. I'll get there. I caught it. No, I didn't. Oh. One of the things that I wasn't gonna say. In regards to the chalk thing, the other reason why I was getting really angry about the whole chalk thing is because, we would when I was training not only with people that were like my same level, although there was like maybe one or two. The majority of the people were like much lower levels and like much younger, and so like sometimes they would just be like, just messing around and like just kind of, they just wouldn't be all the way there. They'd be like, woo, and they'd be in the chalk and they'd spend forever. And like I said, I like to give people their space to do their thing, but like do it quickly. And so I would get really upset, and I would just like wait for them, and I would just like, this anger would build up. I had a lot of anger issues. Gone to therapy. It's been really great. But I'd wait, and then I'd be like, and then I would like do the thing, and I have to like hurry up and do my turn. But I decided to take control of that and do my own thing. And then I actually started this like trend where, especially after I left, everybody started doing it, even on my mom's side, where everybody had their own little chalk bucket. And I would do it and I would take it everywhere. Oh, the other main reason why I did that is because, sometimes you would go to international competitions and the chalk, even though it's technically supposed to be the same thing, it was absolutely completely different. And so I would have to bring my own chalk and stuff like that. Dude, that was so stressful. It's funny because I used to have this massive Tupperware thing, and it was just like white powder. And a lot of times, I would always put it through TSA, and then people would see me pull it out later, and they would be like, "How did you get that through the airport?" And I was like, "It's a different, whatever." But so that was one of the main things that I did. I noticed that it was really starting to affect me in a very negative way, and so I had to sit down and I had to go over what was going on, actually, where was that coming from. And although I was able to like be better while I was training, it never fully went away. And even afterward when I had retired already, there were so many things. Like, okay, here's the thing. I started playing soccer, right? And there was like 2 times where I had really, really phenomenal games. And I was like, that's because I was wearing these shorts today. And so then the next time I would be like, I had to make sure that those shorts were washed. And then I wore those and I was like, and then I would have a shit game. And then I had to remind myself like, hey, bud, your performance has nothing to do with all these little things at all, by the way. And I'm really curious because I haven't paid attention to most sports, obviously, because those kinds of things you really only see when you're training with people, right? I used to see a lot of other people's superstitions, especially like national team members, but there was a lot where you're with them a lot, you're with them every single day and stuff like that. And I'm really curious to know if there's other people, if there's like anybody that watches the podcast that you guys did any sort of sport, or you just have any everyday superstition. I'm so curious. Please tell me about it. Put them in the comments or like tweet me about it. Send me Instagram messages, anything. Because honestly, I'm so curious. Because I want to know the psychology behind it, obviously. You know what I mean? I feel like it has something to do with like wanting to control a situation that is already incredibly difficult to control. Like, I don't know, the psychoanalysis of it is so cool to me. But I say that because, again, like somebody like Ying, he had his clap. It became so annoying. And then when somebody else would try and do the clap and they would get it wrong, even more annoying. But for him, like every time he would do so many of the same thing over and over again, and you were just like, dude, we get it, but it's that, like, you forget that he's dealing with his own things, and for him, that's probably the only way that he can try and take control of a situation that he doesn't genuinely have control over. But dude, oh my Jesus, he would always have to. Oh my God, he had this. I just remembered. He had this pair of socks. They were like Olympic socks that he had gotten when he was like, I don't know, in like the 90s or something, like late 90s maybe. And he had to wear them every single competition. And even if it was like over another pair of socks, he had to wear them every single competition. And there was a point where they were like, just shredded, absolutely shredded, obviously, because like 20 years of wearing the same socks or something like that. It's so dumb. And apparently, I think he even said something about that he had to wear the same underwear. Like, bro, that's too much. Like, I get it. I've heard about it, but that's too much. And I'm actually forgetting about, I feel like the main reason why you guys are tuning into this episode and listening to me talking about superstitions was for the towel. The lucky towel that I used to have. And that's actually a really interesting story, because initially the main reason why I had that towel had nothing to do with any superstitions. The main reason is because I have ADHD. I wasn't taking medication. I also didn't realize that I had like diagnosed ADHD because my mom, she would tell me about it, but she would tell me about it in a very joking manner. Like, yeah, you have it. And I was like, yeah, I have it. But so that the main reason why I needed that towel is because like I needed it to help me just like stay in my own bubble. And the reason why it became like my lucky towel is because my mom had asked my aunts, I had both of them. One of them went to go buy a towel, and the other one went to go find one that she had that she was like, oh, I have a pretty unique, interesting towel. They didn't communicate at all whatsoever. But they came back with the exact same towel, and we were like, this is no coincidence. And so they became my lucky towel. And it's interesting because one of them I like ripped it by accident. Not by accident. I was angry and I ripped it. But it was an accident because I wasn't intending to rip it. I was just trying to be like, argh, and I ripped it because I'm an idiot. And that one was ruined. And then the other one, in 2016, I had just recently done an event or something that I needed to have all of my 1 Olympic medal and my 5 world medals with me. And so I had a bag filled with my medals there, and then I had a bag that had my chalk bucket, it had the towel, it had all of my grips, and something else like tape and other stuff like that. And whatever, I lived in like, at that point we lived in a neighborhood that was like fine. It was like fairly decent, or so we thought. And I went to bed, whatever, and I woke up, and when I woke up, everything was gone. Like they had broken into my car and they had stolen everything, including the medals. And a couple days later, somebody came and they were like, dude, is this your bag? And I was like, whoa. And it was a very unique, it was like a bag from China that one of the, what's his name? Oh my God. It's not Zokai. It's not Chin Yibing. Oh my God, why can't I think of his name right now? I feel like an asshole. Chenlong. Jesus. Pretty sure. Chenlong. He gave me a bag from the national team in China, and it was beautiful, man. But they came and they're like, "Is this your bag?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And that's where I had all my medals. And apparently, that person said that they saw somebody throw it out of a bus. They were just like on like a, on a city bus, and they threw it out because I guess they opened it and they saw what it was, and they were just like, "This is nothing," and they threw it out. The other bag that had my towel and all that stuff, it disappeared. Obviously, I don't even know what they did. They must have dumped that bag too, but nobody ever found it. And that was in 2016, and it was only like a week before going to like the Winter Cup challenge or something like that. And my shoulder was really not doing well at that point. Like everything pointed for me not to go to that competition. Literally, I wasn't ready. Like my shoulder was really not doing well. My bag was just stolen like a few days out from having to leave. I got to Las Vegas to do the Winter Cup, which is like the national championships, with literally brand new grips. I had worn them maybe one turn, and I had gotten there and I was getting ready to compete in like 2-3 days while simultaneously trying to break in my grips. I don't even know. And so that was kind of the story of how the towel just kind of like disappeared. I had to like, I didn't have to. I decided to like design my own towel, and it's like really big, and it has like a bunch of like, has like a galaxy on it and stuff like that, and like gold stripes. And I was wearing it in the Olympics, and I wore it the first day, and then they came up to me and they were like, you can't wear that because of the stripes. You can't wear Adidas. And I was like, dude, I made this. This is not Adidas. They're like, you can't wear that. And I was like, all right, fine. So I wore it the other way, and it was like all white, and it was still nice. But for me, that was a big deal because obviously it had become my lucky towel. I was wearing that towel since I was like, I'm gonna say like 17 or something like that. And then like 7 years later, somebody comes in and literally steals that towel. And it was like a big blow. And at that point, again, that year, it was a lot that happened that year. I definitely want to talk about what happened in 2016, but that's going to be a different podcast episode because that's going to be an entire story in of itself. And it's going to be a little shocking when I tell you that that was another reason why, especially after I retired, I decided, I was like, I'm done with all these dumb superstitions. I need to change it. I need to just not allow all of these outside factors to determine how I feel about a certain performance. That was the moment for sure. And look, and don't get me wrong, I went to the Olympics and I still had a bunch of like my own little superstitions here and there, but it wasn't to the point where I felt that I was not going to be able to perform at my absolute best if I didn't have them. It was just giving me a little peace of mind for every turn. You know what I mean? Superstitions, I swear, it's so interesting because it really can make you think that it's a make it or break it situation, that if you don't do this one little thing, your entire performance is going to go to the garbage. Like, you do so much preparation, so much actual physical preparation that, like, as long as your mind isn't a part of the equation, you're going to do it fantastic. But as soon as your mind starts creeping in and starts convincing you, like, oh, well, you didn't do this thing, or you didn't do that thing, and you didn't do this, dude, it really takes over. It really takes over. And it's like one of those things where if you don't learn how to get a grip on it quickly, dude, it'll mess you up. It'll mess you up for sure. But I'm really curious, like I've been saying this entire time, I'm really curious. So please, if you have some superstitions, or if you remember somebody that you know, or you know somebody right now that, and again, it's not something that it's like an OCD thing, because that's a very real disorder and it's very difficult to deal with. But I just mean something that really doesn't have anything to do with anything, like any weird cultural superstitions, anything like that. Please comment them below. I really want to read about them. I want to know about your own superstitions if you guys have anything. I remember I asked somebody during a live that I did the other day, and somebody was saying that their mom doesn't like knocking on wood tables because God is in the table, which I don't know where that came from, but okay. And also, like walking under the ladders, all that kinds of stuff. But like more personal, specific to you, if you have something, please tell me about it. I'm so curious to know. Thank you again for listening in. Next week, we're going to talk about something. It's going to be great. I promise it'll be great. It'll be fine. But thank you again for tuning in. My name's Danell Leyva. Let's roll some credits. Deuces.